Welcome to the Youth Pulse podcast. I go by the name Dika De Andrew, your host for this very amazing podcast that you do every time. You don't want to be missing. And في كل مرة بكون عندنا مواضيع جديد بكون عن ضيوف جداد اللي هو دائما بيختص بالشباب لأنه when it comes to the title of the podcast, it's the Youth Pulse podcast whereby we're speaking from our hearts. And for today's topic, we're going to be tackling girls and women in science, in which we have some amazing women who are really doing a lot in the science sector. It's being whatever type of a sector of being a scientist is, but we are just going to be diving in with one of the scientists, a young girl who is very passionate about science, and as well she'll be telling us more with a part of science she's part of. But for now, let's just enjoy this one and welcome her to the episode. How are you?
Hey.
You can just go ahead, introduce yourself, what talent do you have, and extra talent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Ethie Costa.
Okay.
I'm a doctor by profession.
Okay.
Currently still an intern, but I think it counts.
Okay.
In terms of passion, I've always been passionate about science, technology, and all of that, like from a very young age.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't get much experience with that in a country like this,
Yeah.
but science is something that I'm very passionate about.
Why
Yeah.
you chose science? Because like maybe you say like I think I'm so good in this part of the science, or you can either be an part of the arts, but why you chose science in particular?
Um, I've always loved the idea of research
Okay.
and how you can implement your own findings and your own effort that you put in to actually make an impact that will then change somebody's life.
Okay.
And the most prominent way I've seen that happening is in the field of like medicine, for example, and other areas of science where,
Okay.
you know, individuals can testify of your impact in their lives.
Okay.
So, yeah.
When it comes to science, I personally, I'm also an engineer, and what I also love is the same way. Like you have explained it. Is about research. I always want to scratch my head a little bit to find the solution, especially when it comes with the mathematical equations. Like it's just so fun. Sometimes it's like when you finally get the answer, it will just give you that
the
satisfaction.
Einstein.
Yes, like you just feel like, I got it, and this is what I want. And it's so enjoyable, especially when you love it. You're just going to really succeed in it. But when it comes to the journey of the world into science, like what sparked your interest? Like, is this only the research part, or there's a specific reason for that?
Right. So I would say that a lot of elements played into that. Among them were like TV shows, movies. I
Yeah.
used to be a huge fan of things like NCIS Miami and
Oh,
CSI. And I was
yes.
like, that's so cool.
Yes.
When I grow up, I want to do that.
Yes.
So I think it was kind of planted in me from a very young age that when I get older, I have to be doing these little interesting things.
Yeah.
And then going into school and, you know, sort of excelling at the kind of subjects that lead into that path kind of like led me there. But yeah. How about you though? I'm curious.
For me, I was so much into Dexter and Didi.
Yeah, I love that.
Dexter and Didi, like them wearing the lab coat. Despite like I came and I did engineering, but Dexter, like he was just an amazing person. Like
Yeah.
whatever that he was doing in his lab, and the sister trying to destroy everything, that he fixed it again. Like that was the nice part of it. But of course, also movies and series have also contributed to me loving science. But also with loving something, of course, there are challenges. Have you faced any challenges on your path?
I'll first note that as you just brought out, like
Yeah.
using the example of Dexter, it does teach you that resilience.
Yes.
Like his sister was always destroying everything, then he has to come
Yes.
back and fix it again from like
Yes.
level
Yeah.
ground. And I think in anything that you do in life, there will always be challenges.
Yeah.
Personally, I think even finishing my journey in terms of like my university and all of that was a challenge because at my last year the war broke out in Sudan.
Yeah.
So
So
coming
you were
here-
studying in Sudan?
I was studying in Sudan, and literally the weekend before the war broke out should have been my final exams. And then the war broke out, and then everything was just a mess.
You felt like it was the end of your world?
I actually thought my world had ended, but then boom, a few months later, it's like, oh, guys, do you want to go do the exam in a different country? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's possible. Okay. So in general, there have been a lot of challenges at every level, but I've also seen that there's always a way out.
Yeah.
So I've kind of learned that you know, that whole this light at the end of the tunnel mentality.
Yeah.
So every time like I'm faced with a challenge, I'm just like, oh, okay, let me just wait it out. Like something is probably gonna happen, and just stay positive about it, because it did take time, and maybe like 8 months to a year of
Yeah.
just being here in Juba doing nothing.
Yeah.
Then here I am.
Man, and when it comes to me, it started from high school لما كنا ممتحنين شهادة سودانية.
Yeah.
So like I said like okay I'm going to do sciences but I'm going to أنا ماشي أعمل علمي ده شنو. I didn't figure it out, but I just love the word science. Whatever happened inside that, it's well and good. So they give you option between biology and engineering. اللي هو هندسية يا اسمه شنو يا أحياء. So I'm going to me and blood we are not that good. So I don't want that one. Let me go with engineering. And by then we started في الدفعة حقنا كان بدينا إحنا كنا 4 بنات. Then the ladies stopped dropping out. بدأ يمشي حياة بسيط بسيط. Because like it was just getting a little bit so hard. And our lecturer by then, he was so tough. احنا فضلنا 2 بنات. في 2 بنات like I was so happy like في امتحان شهادة سوداني like imagine 2 girls doing engineering and with the whole boys just in the department of in the engineering yeah part. It was a little bit hard because it was challenging. Like we end up even doing for them the coursework at some end of the point. Wallahi they were using us but yeah we were enjoying it because we loved it. Now transitioning from high school beginning في الجامعة أنا طبعا مشيت في يوغندا امتحنت الشهادة السودانية في يوغندا. So I joined في جامعة هناك. We joined and foundation. You have to either choose art, business or sciences, in which I wanted to go to Department of Engineering. So even now it's still in foundation. I didn't know what I was going to be doing because there was civil engineering, electrical engineering, architect were there, then petroleum. I said like, okay, what am I going to do? So الأولاد كان في زمن ده بيقول petroleum ماله بنات, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. I said like, you say what? Me, I'm going to join that class and I'm going to graduate on time. And I was so glad. We started the journey like we were about 7 girls. The same thing started happening. People are dropping out one by one.
It's very discouraging.
Yeah, it's very discouraging. Then at some point I felt like, oh my God, what am I doing in the middle of all this boy? Which means like, indeed, this field is not for the ladies.
Yeah.
So I end up with some two other ladies. One she's a Tanzanian and one she's a Kenyan.
So you're the only South Sudanese from that batch.
So you can just like, what's happening? But towards the end,
get your portrait
yes, that's the thing. So towards the end, like يعني في بنات كانوا they post هم كانوا جمدوا سنة لكن they came and rejoined towards my last year. But it was just an amazing journey, full of challenges. But yeah.
You know what's coming to mind as you say that is, let me also share that I kind of had a similar experience. When I went to Sudan, I actually had applied for petroleum engineering.
Yes.
And then I was told that it's not available for girls.
Yes.
That pissed me off because I'm like, what do you mean it's not available?
Even I wanted to join Jama Sudan. Do you have some Jama Sudan? I don't know which university was that. They told me like ما في ممنوع للبنات.
The Khartoum is the same place I applied to.
Yeah.
And that triggered me. And now that we've like made it, I'm thinking like it's our chance to now go back and make these available for girls that are actually genuinely interested in that field. Because they shouldn't be like told like, oh, this is not for you because of your gender. Like
that's for sure.
we do really well, sometimes better than dudes. So
we can do better by the way. When did you feel like you have really succeeded in the science field or the field that you have done in medicine?
Currently, I feel like I'm doing really well.
Okay.
When I first started off, I had a lot of this imposterism.
Yeah.
That's been my like research for like my thesis. And now that I'm finally getting like a hands-on experience and I'm seeing like results, like a patient comes in, they're sick, you treat them, they get better. I'm realizing like, oh, I know what I'm doing.
Do you get sometimes لما تكوني في مناسبات بتاع أهل they say like you go to her, she can give you prescription?
Firstly, I don't introduce myself as a doctor unless I have to. Most of them I'm just like, oh, I'm a VA, that's it. What do you do? Change the topic. You know, like I prefer not to be known as such. Yeah.
Okay. How do you think gender diversity in science impacts science research and innovation, especially when it comes to our own in our own country? Normally, women are always oppressed at every moment, whatever sector of life you're in. If business, if science, if whatever the case is, they will say like, "It's a matter second."
Yeah. It's so sad that like this country is it's worse than a patriarchy. I wouldn't even say it's a patriarchy. Like we're so far behind.
Yeah.
And just being a woman puts you at a disadvantage. On the positive end, I feel like women are forced to work harder because that's the only way you're gonna make it. So although like it's has a lot of negative effects on women, but I think that it really depends on how you take it as an individual. You can take it as like, oh, they don't want me here, let me go find something else to do, my place is in the kitchen, let me get married. Like, because a lot of girls actually believe that, they finish school and they think like, okay, I'm gonna do something great, and they come to the world and they're told like, oh, when are you getting married, when are you doing this, and then they lose interest and they give up. So I think it's a matter of your personal values, your motivation to keep going despite everybody around you telling you otherwise. And just that, like, not really caring too much about what people think around you, and that whole people pleasing that is so prominent these days.
That's for sure.
So I don't like to look at it as, oh, women, we are so disadvantaged and we are struggling, which is true. But I prefer to see it from a perspective of like, okay, how can we empower women to think
To do more.
in a different light, and how can we ourselves play a role in that?
And I feel like also at some point, like as women, we have to be visionary people.
Yes.
Like with vision you can succeed despite the ups and the downs, the left and the right, as long as you have your focus right, and you can balance in between whatever life you juggle in between. Because like as a lady also they will say like, we need to become a because of this and that, we need to become a kid. But try to balance yourself while also acquiring whatever that you wanted in life, and that also include having mentors and role models in your life. So with you, like in your journey, have you had your own role model that you were looking up to?
Well, as we were discussing before the podcast, actually, but I come from a family where everybody's a doctor. So left and right, you have mentors, whether you realize it or not, but they are mentoring you. So I feel like I haven't really had to struggle much for help in that regard. Like if I have a problem, I can just go to mom, my sister, dad, and all of that. But externally, I have found mentors, as you said, to sort of have a balanced life. So if I feel like I need one who is in my own career, I'll approach that. If I feel like I need one to help me in my spiritual life or in my to deal with like emotions and struggle at work and all that. So I think it's about finding different people that can help you in different areas, and not necessarily like one person like, oh, this is my mentor per se. But it's more like I have a friend that can help me with this. Who I can talk to. Yes, I have my sister who can help me with that, my pastor, my, just a balanced approach. Yeah.
If we were to be, they have did for you a little bit of a replay of your life, like 10 years ago, will you have envisioned yourself, the you right now?
I don't think I ever would have imagined myself being where I'm at right now. I think like a lot of kids, you expect yourself to be like an astronaut somewhere in the moon right
in
now.
the space or working for NASA.
That was my dream. So 10 years ago, I probably thought I would be somewhere working for NASA, as you said.
I wish like it was everybody's dream who watched Cartoon Network, by the way.
It looked amazing. Imagine being able to like go to the moon and come back. Like you've made it. You've made it.
I think dreams can come true one day, one time.
It's not too late.
It's never too late. But also to the young ones, like, what will you be advising them for those people who are aspiring, like to get into the science world? Because with the challenges and with the success that you have just shared right now, like, what will be that one advice you love to tell those young girls who not are only in the urban areas, but also there are girls who are really passionate, they want to do something, but it's just some things are holding them back?
I would say, first of all, life is challenging. Adulting is challenging. And the one thing that really keeps you going is passion. So I would say start by actually finding or realizing what your passion is. What do you really want to do, and how that is going to be fulfilling to you as a person. Once you find that, any challenge that presents itself, you'll be able to navigate that. So I think start by like realizing, what do I really want to do with my life? And then other than that, God really presents opportunities left and right. Like you may come thinking like, oh, I don't know anybody, and you know in Junub Sudan everything will wasta. Like
connection.
Exactly. You're done. But I think like opportunities present themselves like left and right all the time. So don't be really too focused on all the negative reasons why things aren't going to work out. Just like realize what you want to do, and then go out there and present yourself.
Yes.
And once you do that, you will find people that will open the doors for you that you need to be opened.
And they always say like opportunities don't come and knock at your doors, and
You gotta
knock
go
for
out
your
there and
opportunities
knock. And some of
yeah.
us are too lazy to do that,
Yeah.
myself included. I wanted someone to come and be like, hey, here's this really good job that will pay you like 10K, and I don't gotta go and hustle.
Yeah.
Then you realize like nobody's gonna do that for you.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the opportunities, despite that, maybe it might be little at the start, but you never know. An opportunity will open for you doors after doors and the door, and even you meeting other people. Because like I personally, wherever I am right now, despite that, I'm professionally like I'm a petroleum engineer, but occupation now brought me to radio, in which I had opened for me doors with people that I even didn't know, and even like having connection, having good skills, and as well like trying to build another channel of my life. But still, I feel like it's just when you get the opportunity, use it very right and just go for it.
And I think that's also a really good thing. We tend to think it's something negative if my field is this and I'm forced to work somewhere else. Not realizing that it could be, as you're working in media, that you find people that can actually help you find your way into the field that you're interested in, be it petroleum engineering or something else. So that can be a good thing. And the other thing is that we always want to start big.
I know,
but the thing
expectation.
When they put you up there, you will not know what to do because you have no experience. You have no network. So I think starting small is actually for your own good. I mean, even like I'm a Christian personally, so even the Bible says that like he that is faithful in the least will also be faithful in something bigger. So if you start with like whatever small job that you have and you do well at it, you test your own skills that okay, I can do this, and your confidence grows, so that when you get a bigger job or you know, greater responsibility, you'll be up for the task. So I think we should always try to see things in that light of like, how is this, you know, something that's helping me versus this is not what I want. With
you being younger and still trying to find more experience into your field, have you been undermined for your age and for your gender at some point?
A lot.
Tell me that one story you can't forget.
Let me start by saying that I also already mentioned that I come from a family of doctors. So like the expectations are above the sky. People expect that. Like my sister, as he mentioned, is a neurosurgeon, the first in the country. So people already expect that you have to do something just as great or greater. You cannot do less. And that puts a lot of pressure on you, like you have to succeed, whether you like it or not. And on top of that, there's a lot of like stigma even in medicine regarding certain areas. Like, okay, if you're a surgeon, you're doing great, there's that prestige. Versus if you're, let's say, like a psychiatrist, people look at you like, oh, it's because you failed at better things, that's why you ended up here. So I think a lot of those things are at play. And in terms of being undermined, I wouldn't necessarily say that I was undermined, but I think that the shoes that I'm having to fill are really big. So,
and with the people like your mom, your dad, your sister, and then like
so you feel this pressure, like I have to do something. So, and on top of that, the imposterism, where you feel like everything you do may not be good enough. And you have to always strive to do better, but even that is not enough. So it's an internal struggle that I'm like still myself trying to fight.
It's really crazy because like this field of science is a little bit hectic because like I even didn't know that levels also in medicine, that maybe like you're there and there's some people who are down here as well. Like I didn't know there's this, but it's still, when it comes to that, there's too much pressure in every field. And with science in specific, like it's a lot to carry because they expect from you to do a lot. Like you're a scientist, they give you that, I don't know, هم بيتوقعوا منك حاجة كده معين
that you don't even know yourself.
That's the thing, like like it's just a normal thing to be done. But anyway, like how do you think with education, what role do you think education and social support play in encouraging more girls and women to pursue science? Because I have mentioned that already ladies are being undermined, not only to forget that we do have culture and norms that we really love to hold upon so much. So like getting now involving science and education, like I said, it's a little bit hard.
I would say that you really cannot get an interest into something that you don't know exists. So we have to let them know the opportunities that are available. Like, oh, it is possible for you to be an engineer, a doctor, a teacher, whatever it is. So that when they do come to like to the stage in their life when they're deciding what to go into, the options are available.
Okay.
And I think that's the role that education plays when they get to see like, okay, these are my options. And on top of that, they're seeing role models, they're seeing women ahead of them who've done the same things. And they can be like, oh, you know what, I want to be like Tika when I grow up. Like, I love her, she's so cool, you know.
And
And
when you get these things, it's like, okay, what am I doing? Because like sometimes it up to God as if you're not doing anything. Like someone will say, like, I want to be like you. It's like, why? Why do you want to
I'm not
suffer?
doing anything.
Why
Can't be
suffering
very-
is your second name or something? You don't need to be like me, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit hard. And especially with your field also, someone will like come and say they want to be a doctor. Then sometimes I feel like you need to ask them, do you want to lose your sleep for the 48 hours or something, or 72 hours? Because I
Yeah.
heard in the movies there's the doctors. No, not the doctors. There's a certain series in a hospital. A resident?
The resident.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those people, they don't sleep. Like they mention stuff. They say like, okay, I thank God I didn't do medicine. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually myself too, when people approach me like, oh, I want to be a doctor,
Yeah.
I just look them up and down like, why?
You want to lose your
Like,
life?
why? You know?
Yeah.
But I've actually learned to realize that just because I may have had a negative experience
Yeah.
as a doctor doesn't mean that they're doomed to have the same. So I'm like, okay, if that's something that you're passionate about, go for it.
Yeah.
You know, because in the end, make sure it's your decision so that you don't go around blaming other people
Yeah.
later on that they force
Yeah.
you into something. But
Yes.
if it's what you really want to do,
Yeah.
go for it.
But tell us the fact, like, you people don't sleep for 72 hours? Like, is that, but there's a
I
that
mean,
point?
you might get like 30 minutes in the middle to take a nap
my
sometimes,
God.
like when you have like a long shift.
Yeah.
But it really depends on like the institution that you're in. Like even personally currently in like Juba Teaching Hospital, there are different departments and they have different ways of operating. So for example, in some of them, you have like a 36-hour shift.
Yeah.
And during that shift, you can like organize and take like 3 hours. You can go take a nap and come back. And you kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
Kinda.
When your body get used to it,
Yeah,
like, it'll be
and then you
fine.
just go rest on the weekend. But then there is that thing that keeps you going, knowing that it's only temporary. Like one
Yeah.
day you'll be done, and then you can finally go and rest.
Okay.
So yeah,
What
it's
are
not
you?
that bad.
Me, I'm past that. Like maybe my sister, she's doing medicine right now. She's in her second year. Then she started saying, I'm enjoying this. I said like, oh, it's okay. Time will tell.
Waiting to hear back from you.
I will hear back from you.
Yeah.
And as for you, I feel like with you talking right now, I feel like you have envisioned yourself. Like, how do you see yourself in the next 5 years as Dr. A?
Okay, I want to like quickly respond to a part that I left out in the previous
Yeah.
question about the social aspect and the support.
Yeah.
I realized that when we think of science and encouraging women and girls to do all these great things,
Yes.
we tend to take it as though that should be their whole life, not realizing that going back to the issue of balance, you can succeed at all these things simultaneously.
Yes.
And I think it's important that we teach people how to be a great doctor and at the same time you're a great mom, you're a great sister, you're a great friend.
Yeah.
At the same time you're in community, you're, you know, having that balance in your life will prevent you from burnout. Because if your whole life is about, you know, I go to the hospital, I live there, I sleep, eat there, and that's your whole life, you're gonna be burnt out at some point. So I think it's important to take that approach of, you know, balance when
Yeah.
we're addressing that.
And I feel also with the help of the environment or the society,
Yeah,
like people are going to do great, because like emotional support is really
it's so
required.
important.
It's so required, because like the amount of depression, because you don't know.
Tell me
As it
about
now
it.
for you being in the hospital for how many hours, you breaking sad news for some couple of patient, and you seeing some patient going through pain, and also you're having your own trauma this side. Like it's just a lot for someone.
Yeah.
And you coming back home, and they will just bump you with a lot of negative stuff that comes on your way. So like, oh my god, okay, I think let me just نرحل المستشفى نشوف.
Right, you feel like it's more peaceful
Yeah.
that side.
So I feel like with the environment, especially emotional support, is
yeah.
really important, because like we are really going through a lot. It's not only through the the science part, but also everyone just need emotional
Yeah, and
support.
life in general.
Yeah, life in general. it
And
needs
there's like a
support.
pandemic of like mental illness going on.
Yes. Oh my god!
And
I
we
thought
tend to
I'm the
be,
one who thought of it alone.
no, we really like struggling as a
What?
people. And we don't even know how to help each other. Like a
Yeah.
friend might come to you and be like, yo, I'm depressed.
Mm,
And you will be there like, oh my God, me too.
yeah.
You know, it helps to know that you're not alone, but then like
I feel
so
like
much
it's
at
just
play.
more with the Gen Z that's so outspoken about it,
Yeah.
and not outspoken about it in a sense of people wanting to help you, but they're taking it as a joke, but it's really depressing.
It
Because
is.
like everybody can just say, I'm depressed, I'm depressed. So it's just looking like a trendy word, but deep down, like
People
people
are
are
actually
really depressed.
suffering.
Yes, people are
Yeah.
really depressed, like due to social stuff. Maybe they haven't gotten a job, or maybe they haven't went to school, or let me say poverty is here, and you
Yeah.
cannot support the family. Like there's a lot of things needed to be unpacked. Even like the simple thing, انت لو قلت لزول معلش كانت شتمت كده مثلا, like الهيجان بيكون like, you say like, okay, what have I done wrong? Like now
Yeah.
sorry is becoming an insult. I feel so like saying sorry is becoming an insult. So like true that we have a lot to be unpacking. So getting back to
Back
next
to the
5 years
last-
to come.
Okay, so it's interesting that this topic came up because actually
Yeah.
that's where I'm tending to like
Okay.
focus my life.
Okay.
I'm very passionate about mental health,
Yes.
and I am trying to prepare myself for residency over the
Okay.
next couple of months.
Okay.
And I want to do something around mental health. So
Okay.
be it psychiatry, maybe coupled with something else so that I can
Mhm.
be able to, first of all, help myself
Yeah.
and then help my community at large who are really
Mm.
struggling mentally.
Okay.
Be it as a psychiatrist or just, partial kind of help.
Have
yeah.
you ever shared it with someone?
I have.
Mhm.
A good friend of mine is a psychiatrist, so
Okay.
we've talked a lot about the stigma around mental health in South
Mhm.
Sudan.
Yeah.
Even when I say I want to be a psychiatrist, people
Mm.
look at you like, really?
Are you mad? You're trying to
You
heal
want to
mad
go
people?
mad or are you mad? Or like,
Yeah.
why? Like, you can do better. Like, why
Yeah.
don't you be a surgeon or like this or
Mhm.
something great?
Yeah.
And that's kind of part of what I want to fight.
Yeah.
Like, people are struggling. People need that help. What's wrong
Mhm.
with us being the ones to offer that help?
That's for
If we're,
sure.
having the opportunities to do that. So when it comes to like the next 5 years of my life, I would like love to be in a place where I'm able to not just talk about it, but actually help.
We came to an end of sharing this inspiring and a long journey of Dr. Tay here, but it's always seeing good stories coming out from our young women who are into such difficult sectors, because it's so phenomenal for women to be in such sector as you are. But remember always the path of science is to discover and to open up to everybody, and regardless of the gender, of course. So stay curious, keep it up, and passion always. Try to work hard and keep your heads up, and things might turn up in a very good way. This has been the last episode for this week, but next time we're going to be meeting with amazing guests again, and as well nice topics. My name is Diko De Andrew. This is the Youth Pulse Podcast.